Hey everyone, it's QuickyBaby and welcome back to World of Tanks, and today I'm playing in a vehicle which has a bit of an identity crisis. This is the T-55A. Now, as you heard from the commander welcoming us into the battle, this is in fact a German tank, but yeah, it's from like East Germany, right? Back in, before the wall went down and before the Soviet Union broke up. So of course it's a Soviet tank inside the German tech tree, although this isn't really in the tech tree as it is the third reward for the first set of personal missions. Now, this vehicle has kind of, when it first went into the game, it was definitely one of my favorites. It was basically like a T-54 that kind of sacrificed a bit of hull armor to be able to gain a bit of gun performance. You felt like you were a little bit more accurate. Well, I know you were a little bit more accurate, and you had a tiny little bit of a rate of fire advantage. And you know me, I'm usually willing to sacrifice some aspects of the vehicle if I feel like I can gain some firepower. Then it kind of it went out of fashion. I think there were more vehicles coming into the game, like the Object 430, for instance, and a bunch of other tanks that really did provide it with a lot of competition, and so people who did unlock this vehicle maybe stopped playing it quite as much. Then, just towards the end of last year, in November 2018, in update 1.3, Wargaming significantly buffed the T-55A, but I had so many things going on that I didn't really pay attention to the vehicle. It's not really a tank that I would want to play too much. I've been there, I've done that, and all of the improvements to the vehicle, just completely slipped under my radar. Until recently, and that's because I've been trying to unlock the Object 279E. And to be able to unlock the Object 279E, you have to do some of the hardest missions in the game. This mission requires me to either get 20 kills in 10 games if I want to do the mission without honors, or it requires me to get 30 missions in 10 games, 30 kills in 10 games if I want to do it with honors. So 30 kills a game, and you can't go and play a tier 2 tank because the minimum tier required is tier 8. So I decided, hell, I really enjoy the T-55A, why don't I go and try and pick up a load of kills in that tank? And yeah, it really started to work out for me. At the moment, with 2 kills secured in this game, I've now managed to get 15 kills, and I've only played, this is the 5th game that I will have played, so I'm averaging 3 kills a game, which is very decent. And so anything extra that I can get from this is a real bonus towards the mission. But let's not focus on the Object 279E or the missions. I'm going to be talking more about that definitely in the upcoming weeks, as I feel like I want to try and make a video about how I would strategically approach the missions to try and help as many of you as possible to be able to not just get the Object 279E, although that's what the video will most likely be focused on, but also how to try and approach all of the different missions in the game with strategies, should I say the personal missions. Alright, so T-55A, what specifically changed about the vehicle and why is it more relevant now with the buffs in 1.3 than ever? Well, Wargaming buffed firstly the small things about the tank. They buffed the hit points a little bit, they buffed the armor on the turret quite significantly, 240, 180 on the side and 65 at the rear, but the massive improvements to this vehicle are the standard round penetration, going up to 221 from 200, and these are expensive rounds, 1,230 credits per 320 alpha damage. If you're bouncing these rounds, this tank can be ludicrously expensive, and it can encourage you, at least back before the buffs, to dab the 2 key a little bit too often, and then you're paying 5,000 credits a shot, and you are seriously losing credits because, of course, reward vehicles don't make bonus credits inside the game. Other things they buffed about the tank were the shell velocity, up to 1,070 on its standard rounds, and the turret traverse and the aim time as well. The turret traverse dispersion was buffed by roughly about 15%, and the aim time was improved to 2 seconds. So that means that this thing can snapshot almost like it's a tier 10 medium tank, even though it's at tier 9. Because really, that's one of the key improvements that you get going from tier 9 to tier 10 in World of Tanks. Sometimes your penetration doesn't even go up, sometimes your rate of fire doesn't really increase too much like on the E50M, but quite often it's the gun handling on a bunch of tanks that will get much better as you approach tier 10. But the T-55A can have all the enjoyments of tier 10 gun handling at tier 9, which is really convenient, considering that the vehicle also has pretty darn good rate of fire, a decent DPM at just under 2,500 base, and if you do dab the 2 key, all your penetration problems will be evaporated. And so that's about it, really. That's all they changed. Oh, no, wait a minute. I totally forgot one of the main things that they changed about this vehicle, and that was the engine power. Previously, this vehicle had a 15 horsepower to ton ratio on the vehicle, and then Wargaming just decided to buff it up to 20 because, it just wasn't quite fast enough. And so this thing now, it's very, very strong at tier 9. And it kind of, I feel like it's too strong. I feel like Wargaming, for some reason recently, have been buffing all of the reward vehicles. I guess because they think they've been power crept by all of the other tanks. But really, I think it's better if tanks that are hard to get, that usually only the best players will get, will be a little bit underpowered. Because otherwise, if they're more powerful than their standard tier equivalents, and all the best players are getting them, well, that's going to be absolutely brutal for everybody else who doesn't have one, right? Anyway, I'm kind of jumping the gun a little bit. I want to focus on that when I talk about the Object 279E, when I get my hands on that vehicle. Alright, so T-55A. You can see this is a complete stalemate here. Not really much progress is being made down the eastern flank. And I thought, well, look, considering all of the enemies are pretty much on the east, even the FV215B183, what do they really have that's going to be at the back? It's going to be the Stridsvagn 103B, right? And so I decided to come up with a plan to try and pierce our way down the western flank to try and use our mobility. And you can see that I'm communicating with our team. I'm saying, hey, let's attack the western flank, and then I'm asking the AMX 1390 to follow me. He presses affirmative. Shout out to you, Baron von Muppel. And also I asked the T-54 Lightweight, aka Gold Digger Eggy. Okay, bro, that's a good name to come with me as well. And it looks like these two Tier 9 light tanks are listening. The T-54 Lightweight has left that position, and the AMX 1390 is right behind me. So I say, okay boys, let's go. And our artillery just took out the eyes of the opponents there by finishing off the Rheinmetall Panzerwagen. So this is the perfect opportunity to be able to advance and flank. So I'm going to try and use these bushes. I'm going to try and stay on the right here to mask my approach from the Stridsvagn 103B, who I'm really sure is either going to be in this location or is going to be up around this location here. And there you go, Stridsvagn 103B. I'm going to shoot to the tracks. I'm going to track him. I'm going to lock him in place until he uses his repair kit. That's a great start, because you know, once you've got a Swedish tank destroyer tracked once, the next time, yeah, they're not able to defend themselves if you manage to get along their side. So the AMX 1390 is making a blitz forward here. He manages to put a bunch of rounds into the Stridsvagn 103B, and I finish off the tier 10 Swedish tank destroyer and then turn my attention to the artillery, and perfect reloads here for somebody who's on a kill mission, right? 5 kills now, perfect. Only 2 more now to get 20 kills in 5 games and complete this mission at least without honors. So the Batchat 25 TAP is making his way over the ridge. He puts one into me. I'd make a pretty bad shot there against him, but luckily I get underneath the ridge line so he's unable to depress his gun anymore. And I just decide, you know what, I want to secure some more kills. What about ramming mode here in the T-55A? And, okay, what just happened? I didn't get the kill. I'm still on 5 kills. The enemy T-92 is on -1. Oh my lord, the enemy T-92 actually killed the Batchat 25 TAP. And funnily enough, because of, I guess, the lag on the interaction there, I actually take ramming damage from ramming a tank that was already dead, I guess. So an absolute heartbreak here as Baron von Muppel on my team, who's made an absolute killer push down this flank along with me, falls to a Type 5 heavy derp. But I don't let him down as I finish off the vision that he put on the T-92 to take out the tier 10 self-propelled gun, and I'm going to continue this advance in his honor, right? In the AMX 1390's honor. And you can see the T-54 Lightweight has come along with me. And just take a look at how that has changed the game. Quite often, especially at high tier, teams will get into position and they're too afraid to advance, or they're too afraid to flank. In this case, we came up with a plan, we saw what we could possibly do, we communicated with our team, and yeah, they actually listened. They actually listened. I'm not saying that you should always listen to me, but if you see someone on your team coming up with at least an idea, and you think, hey, that looks rather sensible, if we go along with that, hey, maybe we can work together, right? Team play in World of Tanks will just amplify your win ratio massively. And I'm not saying to go and follow some absolute crazy, suicidal YOLO monkey on your team to go to an instant death. But if you see someone who's just coming up with a bit of a plan, then go for it. Alright, so now we're going to perform a clinical takedown here on a heavy tank in a medium tank. Number 1, we detrack the WZ-11114. Number 2, we detrack him again. Then we're going to go along the side and we're going to use the building, and now we're able to just shoot him through the tracks and enter the hull as well. And this is just pretty unfortunate. This is just World of Tanks medium play 101 there. You can even do it in your light tanks as well. Hell, you can even do it in your faster heavy tanks. But you need a little bit of mobility to be able to do so. I don't think you're going to be doing that too reliably in your E100. But oh wow, that's our 6th kill. There's our 7th kill. Oh, we're going to pick up the Radley Walters medal as we complete that mission in half the games required. And boom, 8 kills with the Type 5 Heavy going down on the enemy team. And wow, I really didn't expect it to go that well. Hey, when you're trying to do the Block 13 Hand of the Master mission. Also, I realize one of the tanks that I'm using to complete the German missions in the game is a Soviet tank. Oh dear, probably never going to be able to live this one down. But yeah, just a great classic game of World of Tanks. And you know what? I'm never opposed to picking up kills on half of the enemy team in a +1 game at high tier. And in addition to the mission completion, we also get a plethora of hero medals here. An Oskin's medal for destroying at least 3 enemy tanks that are 1 tier higher than you. A Radley Walters medal for getting at least 8 kills. A Pascucci's medal for taking out 2 artillery. A medal which we're never going to be able to get in the next patch now. The Lucky medal, which is witnessing an enemy destroying one of their allies within 10 meters of your own tank, and a high caliber medal as well for the 5,400 damage that we put out, and 1,615 base. Even tanks like this, which are very hard to ace because they're usually only played by the better players, that's still going to smash it. And a decent profit with a premium account, but gosh, look how expensive this tank is. Even though I was trying my best to not fire any heat rounds, without a premium account, we would have actually lost credits in this game. So there's a few things that I wanted to highlight in this video. Number one, I wanted to talk about the T55A and my experiences of it recently. This is definitely one of the best tier 9 medium tanks in the game, and now that the missions are getting easier and easier and you've had more and more time to be able to complete the first set, if you can just make that last push for this tank, trust me, it's totally worth it. Secondly, I wanted to highlight what can happen if your team work together to be able to push down a flank, or just to be able to react and push together. A massive shout out to you, Baron von Muppel, and also to Gold Digger Eggy for just putting the trust in me to come along with a play that if I just rushed by myself would have probably not worked out. But together we were stronger, and it allowed us to stop this stalemate of a game, and we had some decent results along with it, with Baron von Muppel finishing second on experience as well. So go for it, take a risk. What's the worst that could happen? Well, I guess a one-way trip to the garage might be the result. Anyway, ladies and gents, boys and girls, thank you so much for tuning in today. I hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, give it a thumbs up. But if you hated it, give it a thumbs down. And if you're watching this video as it's released on Sunday, it's time for another World of Tanks Tech Tree Showcase right now on twitch.tv/QuickyBaby. And this week, out of 757 of you who have voted, oh, you want to see me play Japanese heavy tanks? Oh, Lord. Okay, well, we're going to be derping our way along the Japanese heavy line. So come along right now so you can see if it's a tech tree that's worth playing. Or alternatively, if you already have the tanks, maybe you can pick up a few tips and tricks along the way. Or you can just see me suffer. Whatever you want. Anyway, I'm really looking forward to seeing as many of you as possible right now on twitch.tv/QuickyBaby. And as always, thank you so much for watching. You've been epic, and hopefully I'll see you soon.